Welcome to the Storylux Marketing Podcast. In this season, we explore how marketers use AI to get better results for less money. Over the next weeks, we interview marketers who show us an AI-based marketing process that they actually use daily. In previous episodes, we've learned how to develop a buyer persona, how to write a marketing plan, or how to write LinkedIn posts that actually sound human. But the Groundhog Day problem that remains with AI is the following. It's really hard to make it sound like us. Or is it? Today's guest has dedicated her work to finding ways to make AI writing feel and sound like a real human. Audrey Chia from the agency Close with Copy has invested countless hours in developing prompts that get ChatGPT to sound real human. In our chat, she shared the strategy that she uses to develop prompts that can do that. Here are 3 key takeaways from my conversation with her. The first one, copywriters are the best prompt engineers because they have to think about everything that ChatGPT needs to know in order to write well. Mind-blowing. The second one is taking a trick from copywriting. In order to make copy strong, it's advisable to write for one concrete real person. And the same holds true for ChatGPT. In order to make writing good, prompt with one real person in mind, not an aggregate ideal client persona. And the last idea that I took from this conversation with Audrey is that we can jump through a number of different expert roles in one chat. This allows ChatGPT to accumulate the skills of various experts into one output. But I'm getting ahead of myself, and Audrey, let's listen to her shares. And by the way, if you're listening to this conversation, you can find the full YouTube video where you can see the prompts and everything written in detail. So apologies to the listeners who can't see everything that we show on screen. We try to read out the prompts and everything so you get an understanding of what we're talking about. So now let's listen to Audrey. Welcome back, everybody, to the Storylux Marketing Podcast. Today with a guest that I've been looking for the whole week. I haven't told you that. Audrey Chia from Singapore. And I'm really excited about what she's going to share with us today. Hey, Audrey, welcome to the show.
Hi, Simon. Thank you so much for having me.
It's an honor to have you. So tell our listeners a bit about you. Who are you for the ones who don't know you yet? And what do you do?
Yeah, so my name is Audrey and I run a conversion copywriting consultancy. But the fun part is that we're not just any other consultancy. What I have done is managed to build a model that blends the best of AI and human to develop craft that actually converts. So my background was from advertising, right? And back then I was doing stuff for like Nike, IKEA and Samsung. But I also worked a lot with startups. And right now I realized that, there is a way to bring brand marketing, right, together with tactical marketing and yet execute it in a much faster way that's supercharged by AI. So lots of fun bits of information around, but it's just how do you optimize your current processes to make them even smarter and use AI as a tool to go faster and to still deliver really good quality work.
Cool. That sounds exciting. Is there stuff like... Let's dive a little bit deeper to problems that you have encountered.
Yeah, so I think the thing that most of you might be facing right now, especially if you're newer to prompting or GPT, right, is that when you prompt, right, a lot of the copy sounds like AI. And I myself have spent hours prompting and testing and figuring out why isn't it sounding the way I want it to, right? So you realize that if you don't prompt it in the right way, it sounds robotic and it sounds really, really excited. So you will see the use of a lot of emojis, exclamation marks, things like attention, everyone. And you would see that repeated over and over again. But there is actually a really interesting way, Simon, that you can bridge this gap, right? If you understand how to prompt and you provide it a framework or structure and you then combine like the human strategy part of it, it can sound really human-like.
Cool. Then let's dig into that and show us what you have.
Yeah, so super cool. I think one thing that I wanted to also share is or the reason why I started doing this was because I wanted to find smarter ways for my clients to scale, right? And that's why I've been testing so many AI tools. And I even taught my mom how to use ChatGPT. So it's proof that everyone can use it. Like mom at work is using GPT and she's doing great. I'm like really proud of her. Yeah, so I think it's the beauty of, it's a tool that everyone can use. And if they know how to use it really correctly, right, then that's when magic happens. And this is the part where maybe I can segue into the topic for today, right? How do we create LinkedIn posts that sounds uncannily human? And is it even possible? Does it work? That is the big question, right? And I wanted to put that to the test. So this is almost like an experiment of sorts. I worked with a few founders and I wanted to co-pilot a program to see if I could create 100% AI-generated post that sounds like them and resonates with their audience. And this is the exciting part here. And if you see on screen, there are two images, one of which is a human-generated post and the other is an AI-generated post.
Interesting. Okay. And now we're going to see which one did better.
Yes. So for the listeners on the podcast, both posts are actually text-only posts with a single image. So at the same time, I'm trying to keep the experiment fair. It's talking about educational content that resonates with the audience, and then you have one photo attached to both of the pieces of work. And this is where it gets exciting, right? What are the results of this experiment? And over here, you can see that the human post actually got about 6,000 impressions and 77 likes with a 1.4% engagement rate. So I'm all about results, right? So I'm all about tracking numbers. So let's take a look at the AI post, right? And then the AI post got 17,000 impressions, 242 likes with a 1.4% engagement rate. So what do you think, Simon?
I'm impressed. And my first question here, I haven't read these posts in detail. Is it sort of like the same topic, the same idea, but worked out by humans, worked out by AI? Or how similar are these posts in terms of like the topic and the target audience?
Yeah, so the target audience is the same, but in terms of the kind of content pillar, right, it falls under like a personal thought or something about education. So then there is a similar theme to it. Of course, the content is not 100% the same, right? But we can definitely run more of such experiments. But I think that the key point here is that to show you that there's a lot of potential in cracking the code between blending human content with AI content. And I think the beauty is that, you go ahead.
Just saying, you get 3 times the reach with the AI post compared to the human post. So this is the thing I also need to pause and say, right? The AI content wasn't just generated with AI. It had human strategy behind it, meaning I thought about your target audience. I thought about what types of content would resonate with them. I thought about how I want to reach out to them. I thought about the tone of voice of the founder or the speaker, right? It's only with all these higher level thinking, right? Then you can craft a post that works. So if you were to ask AI to generate a content without this kind of thought, it's really, really hard to get the same results. Yeah, I can see that. So you've developed a whole methodology then around how to answer all of these points, or answer all these questions with a strategy, leveraging AI, or how do you go about it?
Yeah, so it's usually like a 3-step process where we speak to the founders. And this applies beyond just LinkedIn copywriting. Right? It applies to everything. So you always develop that higher level strategy of who is the product, who is the audience, what is the message, what is the main USP. And this is something that perhaps a human will be able to better generate because you understand the nuances of, the project you're working on. You are able to internalize that knowledge and then create this kind of higher level strategy that then plays out in the AI. So I think as we go along, we will be able to see like more examples. But this is the cool part, right? Like I was saying, we are on to the next slide now, and we're chatting about the difference between the output from basic prompting versus a more professional kind of prompting. So this is ChatGPT 4 with a very basic prompt. I'm just going to read the front section out, right? It's a really, really long post. But it says like, empowering the next wave of entrepreneurs. Hello, #LinkedIn fam. This is a sign of an AI post, by the way. It says like, in today's ever-evolving business landscape, entrepreneurship stands not just as a career choice, but a mindset, a journey, and a testament to our human perseverance, the star emoji, From every corner of the world, I witness stories of individuals transforming challenges into opportunities, yet not everyone has access to the resources or mentorship to turn their visions into reality. This is why hashtag entrepreneurship empowerment is vital. It's about leveling the playing field and ensuring that every dream has a fighting chance. And then you move on to a huge section of why entrepreneur empowerment, so on and so forth.
It's so funny. I don't know. Probably you feel the same. So this thing is AI written. That's what you say. Yeah. And it's so funny because there's sort of like almost like sort of words flashing red in my mind that tells me this is AI. So the first one I saw was ever evolving. I don't know. That sounds like so AI. Mindset, journey, like the combination is sort of like, I don't know. Is this AI? And then individuals transforming challenges. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I found it fascinating over the past half year. I've sort of like retuned bullshit detector for AI words.
Yeah.
So that's weird. So anyways, I didn't want to steal your show, but
No, but it shows, I mean, like what you said, like after a while, you once you read it and you read lots of it, you can quickly identify AI content. And you're seeing a lot more of it on LinkedIn. Like I have seen a lot of AI content on LinkedIn, and it's identifiably AI. So the difference is, can you create content using AI that doesn't sound like AI? And that's where the magic happens.
it is a $1 million question.
And so on to the next slide, right? This is an example of a more what I'll call pro prompting, right? So I'm just going to read it out. Again, this is not the final copy. I would tweak it, but it goes something like, had a deep dive session with an entrepreneur from Entrepreneur Empowerment this morning. Unpacking the journey of every entrepreneur, there's so much more than just the highs and lows. So here are 5 things I learned in 90 minutes on the topic of this. Number 1, mindset is everything. Before strategies or tactics, your mindset determines the trajectory of your venture. Positive thinking fuels innovation and resilience. Number 2, network, but authentically. It's not about how many people you know, but how well you know them. Then number 3, embrace failure. Every setback is a setback for a comeback. Successful entrepreneurs aren't those who never fail, but those who never quit. So you can already hear the difference in the tone of voice, right?
Amazing. And yeah, I mean, I'm always like devil's advocate. Is it sort of because I'm now biased because I know it's sort of like different, but I would say objectively it reads much more human. Just the beginning, had a deep dive session with a serial entrepreneur and sort of like dropping the I, which is sort of like a stylistic element that you see more and more. I have not seen AI do this, sort of like this structured sentence. I think that's sort of interesting that was here done with AI because it feels so non-AI. So a great post that, as you say, really feels like written by a human, and you say it is written by a good prompt.
Yeah, and this is just version 1. So this is not me editing anything, right? And imagine if I just went in and I tweaked a few lines. I just shortened the copy, then it would be like so much punchier. And then that in itself would be a really good performing post for like a founder. So again, and then you pair it with an image or a video or just like, a short clip of something that has happened recently. Then you have that human element as well, and you can't really tell. Yeah, so I think the thing that I would like to emphasize, and something that I've also said earlier, right, would be that AI without human strategy is useless. I'm going to use the word useless because this is, I know it's a strong word, but I feel strongly about it. I have seen so much content being generated by AI that doesn't have thought or insight or strategy. And when you read content like that, it doesn't add value. Whereas if you think about being able to weave in something that's a lot more insightful and meaningful, right? That's when the content makes sense. It reads like a human. It actually impacts the person seeing it positively because it helps them to grow by getting more reach, more audience, more conversions. And if you're able to utilize the best of both worlds, right, that's when I guess you can see like the full potential of it.
Yeah, what can I say? I fully agree with you. And I mean, the thing is, even in the age before AI, without strategy, we only produce crap. And maybe things have become sort of more glaringly apparent with AI, that if there is no strategy, then you get crap. And I think maybe before we were better able to bullshit our way around that. But that's just a side thought. So
Yeah.
let's talk about your ways. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, no, and I also agree with you. I think in the past, because you don't create content as rapidly, right? But now you see a flood of content, and you see a lot of it without strategy. So, like what you say, it becomes a lot more apparent now.
Cool. So how do you then go about to develop the strategy with AI or for AI using AI?
So I think like the first part of it, then this is just for LinkedIn, right? Would be to figure out who are you writing for. So I actually developed my own kind of personal playbook for founders, and it actually has like a step-by-step process that I walk people through when it comes to like, okay, who are you? Who is your audience? What do you stand for? Is this a brand page? Is this a personal page? Can you connect your brand page with your personal page? How do you build an audience around it, right? So it's very important to think about questions like, firstly, what do you want to be known for on LinkedIn? So the first question I would like to ask anyone is, like, for example, you, Simon. Simon, if someone asks, what are you known for on LinkedIn? What is that one-liner for you?
Good question.
Yeah, so this
I guess ghostwriting strategy development for busy CEOs, something around that. But you hit a sore point. I still have to work on that.
Yeah, no, but that in itself is a great one-liner, right? Like ghostwriting strategies for CEOs. So you have what you deliver and who is it for. Then for me, I want to be known for AI supercharged copywriting. That's it. I just want to be known for AI copywriting, AI copywriting. So you can see that all the content that I post, right, has to ladder up to this big narrative of people come to me for this kinds of content. So once people identify what they come to you for, they will keep coming back, because whenever they need help in this field, that's the person they think of. So there are other AI experts that could be doing like AI sales or like AI growth or like maybe cold emailing with AI. So then you see they are owning their verticals, right? So we have to create that vertical even before creating content. So this is the point where I will ask, who do you want to be? What are you known for, right? What do you talk about? Who is your target audience? What is the goal actually? So there are two big objectives for any kind of LinkedIn strategy, right? One is you're trying to gain visibility and gain followers. That is the goal for someone who might be trying to create a newsletter, right? So there's one kind of objective. The second objective would be, I want to get more clients. I want to show expertise. So the second objective could be conversion. The two types of different personas, right, would be pursuing a different kind of strategy. The first persona will be going for more top of funnel kind of content, where all they're trying to do is visibility, virality, getting people to follow my page. Whereas someone else who's trying to chase customers, right, for example, a healthcare founder, I would be very specific about sharing health-related content, even if it doesn't give me as much visibility as AI content. So you can see different profile, different strategy. Identify your target audience is key in this process, right? Then you should also ask yourself, why should people care about your content? What will make them stay? What value can you give or add? So an interesting tip that a lot of other creators have shared is give away such disgustingly good value that people can't help but come to your page. So that's something that I've also found very useful for myself. When I share value and expertise, people value that and then they reciprocate as well. So that's also something that we have to figure out. Why should people care about your content? Why are they following you for? What is the value? What is in it for your audience, right? And finally, you have to define your key pillars. So I always recommend maybe 3 to 5 main key pillars. Anything more than that, people get confused. And your key pillars should ladder up to your overarching narrative, right? So for me, it could be AI, copywriting, and growth. So all my content is centered around these 3 key pillars. And I would then consider splitting them into top of funnel content for visibility, mid of funnel content for relevance, and bottom of funnel content for authority or conversion. So now you can see it's a very systematic way, right? You paint the picture and then you think, okay, with this picture in mind, what kinds of content do I create, right? Top, mid, bottom. And then I think to myself, okay, how much of it is human and how much of it is AI? So I would never encourage anyone to do 100% AI generated content, because that's when you lose yourself and you lose your personality and you lose your story, right? So the way that I would always structure it is think of AI as a way to supercharge your work and to help you in your journey. But you are the one who's actually telling your story. So perhaps you could have a 70% human content, 30% AI content mix. That could be one way. Or even thinking about sharing personal stories along the way that comes from you, then prompting to get their personal stories told in a much faster way. So there are different ways to think about blending both of the human and AI part together.
I have a question on this one with the 70% human, 30% AI. I like it. I've never seen it expressed in that way. With other people that I spoke, the overwhelming consensus that emerged was that AI is great for brainstorming and sort of idea gathering and sort of like the pre-final writing phase, which I totally understand. Now with the 70% human, 30% AI, how do you break that down? Is it sort of like across the process, or do you say like you can do 30% of your content, 100% AI written, and then the remaining 70% are 100% human written, or it's sort of like brainstormed with AI and then hashed out by human writing? How do you break that down?
I think there are many ways to, of course. I mean, this is, again, subjective to each person's like workflow and what they feel more comfortable with, right? For me, I see it as two different things. One of which is, on your LinkedIn post, how many percent of your posts are created by yourself and your human part of it? Like how many posts are written by you, or like and then how many posts are written by AI? So that's one thing where some founders say, I don't have time, like I have no time to create stuff online, but I need to be effective and I need it to work. So then you use a bit more AI, right? So I can push 30% AI to like 40 to 60 because they don't have the time and I need effective content. Whereas on the other hand, someone like me could be more human-led because I believe in the value of my content, and my content is something that I can't easily extract with AI because it's a one step beyond, right? So that means that I need to be even more human than AI. So again, it's about who you are, what is your objective, how much time you have, how do you get there, right? Then the second part of the kind of 70-30 split would be, the 70% would be like, I could tell my story, and then I could have 30% using AI to draft or create the story, the template. So there are ways to blend the human part of things, like my values, my beliefs, together with AI execution. My expertise, the books that I like with AI execution, is taking bits of myself, then putting it into AI, and then getting an output from it.
Little tangent here. You just touched on the values that we want to have shine through in our posts. Now with the new, what is it, where you can tell who you are, custom instructions. Have you tried using that, saying like, these are my values, please always sort of look from these values when you write for me?
Oh, that's really interesting. I have not. That sounds like a great idea. I would love to test it as well.
Let's try that. I want to see that. Yeah,
that will be really interesting. So far, custom instructions are great when I guess you have a kind of like a framework, right, that you want it to follow. Then it's a lot better. But yes, I haven't tested adding values. That could be an interesting approach.
Okay. I've taken note. That's the call.
Yes. Let me know how it goes.
Excellent. Okay, cool. I love the content, the funnel breakdown. But anyways, let's continue.
Yeah. So I think right now it's much more about thinking about, okay, now that we have the strategy, we have the content split. Now we can use AI. So you can see the process is not, I'm just going to use AI to generate a random piece of content. It was really high level. Then what is the actionable next steps? Then now we create content using ChatGPT prompts, right? So I'm sure most of your listeners are already familiar with using ChatGPT, but for those who are not, right, I break it down in a really simple way. Just think of it as, Lego, and looking at it as like, I have different building blocks. How do I stack the building blocks to get to where I want to be? So a prompt is never a single sentence. It is never a one-liner. A prompt is always made of different components, because when you have the different parts to it, that's when you can paint your vision. So for me to get to my end result, I need to know what is the end result of an example of a post that works for me, right? So I'm not going in thinking like, I just want to see what comes out of it. I'm saying, I know what I want. I'm telling you to develop something that I want, and this is how you get there. So it's a very different frame of mind, right? So I come in and I say like, okay, ChatGPT, I want you to act as this, do this for me. So the 5 kind of key building blocks that I have role. So this is the role you want GPT to play, the context of what you want it to create, the target audience, really important as well, the tone of voice in which you could feed the examples for prompting, and the actual output. And output is the most important part to me in this equation. So when I prompt for any of the posts, right, the rule is always you're an experienced conversion copywriter or you're an experienced LinkedIn strategist. Depending on which stage of the prompting I'm at, I would change the role, and then I would give it the context, right? So in this case, for the context, I go so deep into telling it, you are writing for this person is the founder of this company does what, this is the goal of the company, this is what we do best. So you can see like I'm creating an image for GPT. So it's not just saying that, oh, you're writing for a founder. No, I'm saying you're writing for a founder who owns this company, who understands this context, and who wants to build something like this. And I'm saying that the goal of that founder is to build a LinkedIn presence, to write copy that actually attracts his target audience. And then the next stage, I talk about who is his or her target audience, right? Are they like founders or entrepreneurs? Yeah.
You just gave me maybe so what you're saying essentially is with the audience, instead of having like this ICP or whatever persona thing, you tell ChatGPT to write for a very specific person, and that could be a real person that you probably could sort of like describe and say, okay, John is the manager of this company, they do that, this is a personal story, which would result in a completely different, because more precise persona. So you're saying prompting instead of for a demographic or like aggregated persona, prompt for a real person that exists, which is one of the copywriting rules of like write for this one person, address your mom or something like that. That's what you're saying.
Yes, that's the beautiful part. So then the amazing part is, as writers, and like Simon, you would know best, right? As writers, as I've always been saying this, we are the best people to prompt because we understand how to write for the audience. So all you are doing, right, is teaching ChatGPT how you think. Like, this is how I think, this is how you should think. Give me the results based on the way I think about things. So that's exactly how I craft my prompts. Yeah, and so after prompting with like, okay, now you have the role, right? You have the context and you have the target audience. And then you can include the tone of voice. At this point in time, I might create a new chat, on ChatGPT, and then I would ask it to analyze the tone of voice from some examples that I feed it. So this then gives me a description of the tone of voice that I then turn into a prompt and put it back to this flow. So my process is never linear. It's always like, what do I need? How do I brainstorm? Can I use it to create something for me? And then I put everything back, right? So now I have the tone of voice, I add it back in, and only then I tell it, this is the output that I want, this is how I want it structured, I want this number of words, I want it to be right in this way, can I have this specific output? So at the end of the day, what you get is a massive prompt with lots of details, lots of instructions, just so that you could get to the output that you want. So there is craft in prompting. Like, prompting is copywriting in a different form.
I love that. I've just taken a note on that, with copywriter being the best prompt writers. And when you put that way, it made so much sense, because as a copywriter, you have to think about the target audience, you have to think about the intention, you have to think about clarity. And I think these are the exact same qualities that you need for a good prompt, because you need to sort of tell the system what to do, for who, and how, and what style. And I've never thought about the copywriter being the best prompt engineers.
Oh, yeah, it's true. I keep saying this. I was like, you guys are great at this. But you already know how to do it. You just need to get it out in words. So the beautiful part is, like, maybe this is a segue into something else, but other people have been chatting with me to ask if I can craft prompts for them. And they are people who are not in marketing. So there are people who are doing like design or architecture or even in healthcare. Because again, right, if you are a writer who can understand the steps you need to get to the end goal, what you can do is also look at other functions and other fields and think, okay, they want to get to this end result. How do I help them to work a few steps back and prompt for the end result? So you can see we are creating stuff, it's building things in different ways. These are your building blocks. You can shift them around, you can move them around, you can use it for different applications, but you need to be able to know how to think with it.
Backs up so fast. Cool.
Yeah, it's fun stuff that I spent months experimenting with. So that's the beautiful part, right? So I think we've come to almost the end of, this mini kind of discussion, but you can see here how I combine human strategy, always about higher level thinking. What is your expertise? What value can you add, right? And then your key insights. That's the first chapter. And then in the second chapter, you then think, how can I execute on the deliverables that you've created with the human strategy? And now it's when you harness the power of AI, craft really, really specific prompts, and then you get the output that you want. And then the third thing is you refine the copying. You make sure that you refine it, because that's when you then have that seamless blend of human, AI, human, right? And then you think about, okay, as a work in my workflow and work processes, how do I bridge the gap, right? So if I'm already creating posts for founders, can I make this system smarter? So now I'll think about my personal workflow. What is the best way in which I can create a systematic and templatized framework that is still unique to each founder and that still has their brand voice, has their brand story, and is able to drive impact? And then you have now a seamless integration of human AI and a beautiful workflow that you can execute with speed.
That's so cool. Exciting.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's the end. That's all I did.
Do you have any IP? Because there's like a part of this show that we try to show some real prompts. Would you have something sort of like a detailed prompt that came out of this process, and maybe we can show that in comparison to like a standard prompt to show that it is a complex thing? If you have sort of a detailed prompt, that it's definitely more complex than a simple prompt like write me a blog post about this, full stop.
Let me see. I might have one that is about like with for ads instead, so it's a bit different, but it could be interesting for you guys to take a look at this. So this is something that goes beyond LinkedIn, but it's also the same process, and when you look at it, then now you understand why, right? So I'm going to share this page with you. I'm going to zoom in. Yeah, so what I have done here is, again, right, if you want to create...
So for the listeners who don't have video, we're now seeing a real prompt in ChatGPT, and Audrey, you're going to talk us through the prompt.
Yeah. So we're moving away from LinkedIn posts because I just want to show you the power of being able to, bridge strategy with execution. And it's not just for LinkedIn. So this is when you could think about, ads. And if you want to create like ads that convert, think about it as how do you get your end result? So for you to create an ad that convert, you first need to understand your audience insight. You first need to understand what are their triggers, their pain points, their fears, their desires, their motivations. And only when you understand that, then you can think about, okay, these are your product's unique selling points. And finally, you can make the gap of, I'm going to create ads that convert. So you can see now it's a 3-step process, right? And then going back to step 1, right? This is when I asked ChatGPT, as an expert brand strategist, I want you to do an in-depth analysis of my audience for my brand, and I give it the details of my brand. So this is the brand essence. The product is a pet-safe essential oil. My target audience are women ages 35 to 55 with mid to high income for love for pets or with love for home and lifestyle products, right? And then I even include the product unique selling points, 100% pure, vegan, cruelty-free, certified pet-safe by pets. And this is when I ask it to give me a deep and detailed audience analysis and a drill down of their pain points, their desires, their needs, their wants. So if I scroll down here, you can see that ChatGPT actually came up with really many detailed kind of insights. For example, under values and beliefs, right, they talk about ethical consumption. They say that our audience might be more conscious consumers who prioritize ethical consumption. They might prioritize, quality over quantity, right? When they're willing to pay more for products that they believe are of a superior quality. So again, these insights may not always be 100% true. You have to verify them, but it's a great place to start, especially if you're a company with no resources, no market research, and you just want to get started. So this is kind of like an idea board.
That's so fascinating. So the one thing that I see with ChatGPT, it's sort of like accelerates this research so much, and often it's not really that it says things that I could not have thought about or thought of, but it's so much easier to just get it and just verify, yes, that makes sense for that person or that thing, instead of really having to rack our brains, sort of like brainstorm with a group of people to get diverse viewpoints. Instead, just get a better degree of diversity from ChatGPT than had I done it on my own.
Yeah, and this is just like your idea springboard, because this is like, just think of it as a brainstorming partner. Like, I need help, I need some ideas, where can I start? And then it just gives you a whole list of things that you can think of. And the thing is that it will unlock certain perspectives that you never even considered, just because sometimes we're limited by, I just want to think about this in this way. But ChatGPT opens that door up, so you see like a wider frame of ideas. Yeah. So you can see here that it talks about even like desires and wants, a safe home environment, authenticity, aesthetically pleasing products. Yeah, these are already 3 different angles. Think about it. It's 3 different angles in which I can craft my ads for. They even have, recommendations. So ChatGPT recommended that you can create educational content to help our audience understand the benefit of our oils. They talk about packaging. They talk about how it should be eco-friendly and also aesthetically pleasing, interesting. They talk about engagement, building a community platform, being able to bring all these our fans together. And they also talk about transparency and looking into our production process and sharing behind the scenes content. So now you can see how ChatGPT is able to like think at, and this wasn't possible a few months ago, right? So this was like me testing the same prompt over and over again. And ChatGPT 4 has the ability to basically think about what you're actually looking for and provide recommendations even before you ask for it. So that's the amazing part. Afterwards, now I would say as an experienced conversion copywriter, so when now I prompt 2, right, I'm changing the role from brand strategist to a conversion copywriter, because now I wanted to understand the kind of framework for a writer and write for me, right? And I ask it to develop ads for my brand essence that taps into the following audience insights. And you can see here that how I structure my output, right? I have a visual headline that's not more than 7 words. I am telling it that it should not be more than 7 words, because it will have a tendency to create a long line of sentence that you don't want, right? I even tell it like I want a headline of not more than 6 words, a subhead not more than 10 words, and for my post copy, I said please include 1 to 2 of my product USPs, which are unique selling points. And so I'm so detailed into saying this is my vision. This is what it looks like. Paint it for me. And now you can see like how detailed the structure gets, right? It's not just I want a Facebook ad. I want a Facebook ad that looks exactly like this. And each ad should then tap into one insight. Please also identify the insight. And I want 10 ads. So now it gives me different ads, and I would quickly skim through the ads, and I would think like, okay, what works and what doesn't. So for me right now, the one that stands out would be something like Harmony at Home with the visual headline, and then the headline says safety meets serenity. Subhead goes essentials for a pet safe haven. Post copy goes transform your space. Our pets get certified oils, ensure a safe aromatic environment for every family to live in, fur included. So now I like this ad, and I could be like, give me more ads in this manner, while with the insight of building a safe home. Then that's how I get even more ideas.
Let me jump one step back, because what I found interesting, what you did, you changed the role of ChatGPT. First, you told it that it's expert
A brand strategist. Yeah.
strategist, and then you told it now you're an experienced conversion copywriter. I've never seen that change the roles in one chat. Apparently it works. It's taking everything that it learned from the brand exercise and sort of builds on that, but changes the personality to now look at the insights from the brand expert and now become a conversion copywriter. I find it fascinating.
Yes, and the beautiful part is I could easily now ask it to be a social media manager. I want to create social posts for a lesson please develop a month-long social content calendar with the following in the table form. So you can see the way I think now, right? Like now I know, okay, this is what I need. I'm building it. I'm giving it different roles. It's like an intern with different skills.
I love it. That's cool.
Yeah. So I think the final thing here would be, like again, I said, right, this is not the end output. You always have to select the output, review it, refine it, and then you start the process again. So it's never going to replace us. It's only going to help us to get there faster. And if you use it in smart ways, it can unlock new doors for many of us writers, creators or marketers. And I think that is the thing I would really like to emphasize, is that you don't have to be afraid of it. Like from the way I'm looking at how I use it today, right? It's something that I spend hours experimenting with. But because of me having spent that time, I now have the knowledge to share with other people so they can just learn it in an hour and get the same results. So it's not scary. It's just, it takes time. But if you invest the time, you're going to learn and grow really, really fast.
Yeah. And I think there are two sides to this learning experience. One is to technically understand how to develop the prompts, how to prompt the system. But I think the other side of this learning experience is also to gain more clarity about what do I really want. And the more I understand that, the better I become, the clearer I become about what I want, the easier it is to prompt, and then the better the outputs become.
Yes, definitely.
Cool. Audrey, that was fascinating. I mean, there are like a number of points took from our conversation. I'm just looking up in notes here. One with copywriters are the best prompters. I've never thought about that one. I think it's so true. Prompt the system to write for one very specific person instead of like this typographic aggregate person. And then the idea that I have to try to use the custom prompts, share my values, and then see how it sort of like looks at certain ideas from these values. And the last thing that I found really interesting, what you shared, is to jump through several roles in one chat, which I think is totally new to me, and I'm excited to try that as well.
No, I'm glad you found it useful.
So, for listeners that got intrigued by what you shared, who should reach out to you? Who are you open to work with? Give us an idea so the right people know how to contact you.
Yeah, so like when I say I run Close with Copy, so we are a hybrid human AI copywriting consultancy. So I do everything from like strategic positioning all the way to AI assisted execution. And the people that I'm working with are usually like founders of startups, so mid to late stage startups, as well as mid to bigger size companies who are running a team, but they want to supercharge their team. So they see the potential of AI, they don't know how. I'm the best person to bridge that gap.
Fantastic. Cool. And people can reach you, unsurprisingly, on LinkedIn. Is that the best place to find you? Or?
Yes. So if you go to LinkedIn and you type Audrey Chia, CHIA, you will see my name with a rocket ship. If you want to visit my site, it's www.closewithcopy.co.
Closewithcopy.co. C-O.
Yes, C-O.
Fantastic. Okay. Audrey, thank you so much for your time, for this presentation, and for sharing these novel points. I can't wait to get back to ChatGPT and try these prompts or the processes that you've shared and see how they work. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Let me know how it goes.
Yeah, well, we'll share that on LinkedIn for everybody to see.